to the BFG Podcast. Today we had the pleasure of sitting down with former Wellington Phoenix player and current coach of the Auckland City FC Football Club, Albert Riera. Welcome, Albert. Pleasure to
Thank
have you today.
yeah. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, look, it feels like it was a long time ago that I played for the Phoenix, and now I had to have the boots and move to do something different. So thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And Albert, when you came to New Zealand, what inspired you to come here to play football? Because you were, from what I understand, you were a backpacker and you were an ambulance driver back in Spain, right?
You exactly described it, and it was completely right. I mean, I came to New Zealand because I wanted to learn English first and foremost, and I had my job back in Spain. I quickly realized that I wasn't good enough to be a professional footballer, at least in Spain, because the level was very high. So I was still combining my job as paramedic with quite high level of football. I was playing for a team in the third tier over there, so you still training pretty much every day, and you have a very competitive game on the weekend. But overall, I had a very long schedules every day, so I needed a 1 year rest, and that's why I came to New Zealand.
So when you came to New Zealand, were you expecting to be here years later?
Look, I couldn't even imagine that. I remember the first season after playing for Auckland City. I was ready to go back to Spain because they were waiting for me in my job. And at that time, the coach was Ramon Tribulege, and he rang me. He said, "Look, I'm designing the squad for the next season. I'm thinking of you." It's like, Ramon, yeah, forget about it. I have to go back to Spain. They're waiting for me. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose my job. So it was probably the hardest decision I had to ever make because that good employ changed my whole life, and leave family back in Spain, my job. So it paid off at the end. But I'm not gonna lie, I was very very hesitant. It took me 2 weeks to make that decision, really.
And finally, before I hand over to Jonathan for some of his questions, so as legend has it, you were discovered by Ernie Merrick at a pre-season match when he was coaching the Phoenix, and then he offered you a contract. So if that is true, how did you feel about that at the time?
Yeah, the reality is that we had a preseason game. I don't wanna lie, but I think it was 2 weeks after we started the preseason with Auckland City. 1 week or 2 weeks into our preseason, and the Wellington Phoenix boys came to Auckland. I think they might have been already, I don't know, 2 months in preseason. I don't know, because it's probably the longest preseason in the football world, in the A, the ones that they have in the A League. So they came to Kiwitea, and I was just struggling a little bit with my groin. And Ramon again said, "Look, I want you to play 45 minutes, the first 45 minutes, and that's it. Then I'm gonna give you a rest." So that's what I did. I played the first 45 minutes, and the game was finished. And I went back home, and I got a phone call from Ernie Merrick, and he told me that he wanted to give me a tryout. That he wanted me to fly down to Wellington just to be on trial for 1 week, and that was the plan. And I said, "Look, why not? I was 29 at that time, nothing to lose. Maybe the last chapter on my book, And yeah, I went down to Wellington, and after the first day, he actually offered me the contract, so I didn't have to wait for 1 week. So it went very good. It went very good.
And was that like validation for you? And also, did you ever feel that you left the Phoenix too soon? When you did you feel like you could play for another year for them?
Look,
Looking back in hindsight,
that's a good question. I believe in hindsight, every decision is easy. But if I put myself back into the shoes a few years ago when I retired, I have to be honest, and I was quite, struggling with recovery and all that. And the first season I went through a very long-term injury, very long-term one. Actually, a few doctors said that I wasn't going to be able to play football again. And I'm very happy because I proved them wrong. Sometimes you have to actually be very stubborn. But then with the flights, a lot of traveling. I was 30. two, I believe. Not easy actually becoming professional when after 29 years old. You got to change a lot of habits. It's not easy. It's something that I've spoken to a lot of people, and when you are used to do that early age, I think it's quite easy. When you got to change all this, training in the morning, never done that in my life before. It adds on, and my mental space wasn't there. The body was taking its toll. So I believe it was the best decision. However, again, in hindsight, it's like, because I'm feeling perfectly well now. So I would say, yeah, I could have gone maybe 3 more years, but I think I could be lying to you.
I'll hand over to Jonathan now to ask some questions.
Brilliant.
Sure. So when you came, so you come from playing third division in Spain with which is a pretty high class. You come here and play for Auckland. What did you find different in the way, the style of gameplay and the skill and so on?
Well, the first thing that I found is that I hadn't played for a few months because I knew I was going to come to New Zealand, so I didn't start the preseason back in Spain. So the guys in here were exactly right in the middle of the season. So I thought they were flying through. I mean, I thought they weren't footballers; they were airplanes. They were flying in. But the physicality of the game was a big difference, very big difference, and especially during the games, I believe, the ref sort of make different calls. Actually, they let the play more, sort of contact, especially from behind, that, in Spain, they're going to call it foul 100%. In here, it's just play on. So you got to adapt to that. But it helped me a lot to have, Ramon Tribulege, the Catalan Spanish guy that was here. So he would tell me through that. It's like, play on because they're not going to call it. He was telling me off every time, So I believe the main difference was the physicality of the game.
Yeah. And how do you carry that through to your coaching today? Like, how do you bring that bit of Spanish flair and attack and design to what you do with Auckland?
Yeah, look, I'm very, very lucky to be at Auckland City because we know the style of play, that we want to implement. I've been, experienced that myself as a footballer, and you always steal ideas from coaches that you like. So you probably had a melting pot of different ideas. I'm just starting now, really, but knowing the DNA philosophy of the club, it helps a lot. So we all know the direction that we're going to go towards, and it's become very easy for myself to implement that because all the players that we have, they play that style of football. So you don't have to implement a new idea, a new philosophy, because it's the one that you believe in, and that's in that regard, it's quite easy, to be honest.
How does that style compare to the other clubs around the country? Is Auckland doing something, because you've had a big run of success, so you're doing something right?
Yeah, I believe it's a mix of a lot of things. You have to combine good players with the idea that, again, you believe in. I don't believe one idea is better than the other one. You just have to, you got to believe, and breathe it and embrace it. Otherwise, probably sooner or later, you're going to get found out. If you want to sell something that you don't really trust and believe in, the players smell that quickly. And other clubs, they have their own philosophy. It's been working as well for them. The way we do it, at least it's probably the one that we have to thank for that is Ramon. He came here and he completely changed his style of play at Auckland City. And not just that, because he believed in that and it worked. He won a lot of titles and it helped us to win a lot of titles. And it's a very efficient football style, I believe, first and foremost. Again, you might like it or not, you might find it beautiful or not to watch, but at the end of the day, it's very efficient. And we play to win games and develop players. And I believe if you are able of keeping the ball, you're going to be able to kick it long at some point. The hardest thing is to be comfortable with the ball under pressure. If you're able to do that, you can adapt to any style of football. So I don't think one is better than the other one. I just believe one is more complex than the other one.
And how have you found the? I mean, you've been coaching for a little while now. How did you find the transition into coaching? What was that? How's that experience been for you?
I believe actually in my head, I haven't sort of retired, to be honest. Sometimes actually the other day we were playing against Birkenhead and the grass looked beautiful, under the lights Wednesday night. I was ready to put the boots on, and play actually, and that's what makes you still feel that not long ago you were still playing, and even at training sessions when we have, the beautiful beach at Christian Club and still, you have this sort of heartbeat that, is pushing you towards putting the boots on and being part of the rondo and the games. But the players did, a fantastic job, accepting me as a coach. Do not forget that a few months ago I was still playing for them, with them, sorry. They were my teammates. And pretty much overnight, I'm standing there doing the speech in the changing room, telling them what to do to win the game. But I think you got to be yourself. You can't pretend to be someone that you're not. And I keep telling them that there are a lot of things that I don't know. I ask them a lot of questions. We have very good players in the changing room, and they're helping me a lot. So great to them, really.
Fantastic. What would you like to do long term with as far as coaching career? What goals or what do you aspire to?
Look, at this moment, it's hard to say, but talking to a few coaches and at the moment, because a lot of people tell me, well, when are you going to go back to Europe? I don't think I want to do that, actually. I think I want to be in this part of the world. I believe that in this place is in around Oceania, really, is a place where I think I can contribute more to the game rather than going to Europe and lifestyle, competitions and all that. I don't think it doesn't really resonate at this moment with the way I am. So I'll take it step by step. At the moment, my sort of sense pushing me to stay here.
Would you ever consider coaching in the A-League?
I think so, yeah. I believe the A-League really ticks all the boxes that I believe that I would enjoy, the competition that I would enjoy coaching in. Still professional, good players, I think is growing a lot. And I believe so, actually, Blake. I think it's one of the things that I would put in my bucket list and one day probably achieve.
Speaking of bucket list, Albert, you were one of my favourite players growing up when you came to the Phoenix. I really relate to you because as somebody with a disability, I could relate to your challenges of moving to a foreign country, not knowing anything. So it's the same as people, for me being in a wheelchair, because I had to work hard for people to understand me, to include me, so that your story was a bit of an inspiration for me in my late middle to teenage years when you were at the club.
Look, I really appreciate that. I'm honored that you say that. And look, it means a lot. It means a lot because I believe, sport in general and football in particular, you can use it to inspire people. And that's the most beautiful thing about the game and the sport, and it's what I'm trying to, convey to the players. You're playing for the people that really are watching. And, I believe to be an inspiration is something fantastic. So you telling me that, Blake, really, I think it was all worth it. My small career of football, which it was probably just 3 years. And if I could inspire you, it's more than the money I could have made probably if I kept playing football longer term, and it's all about, being brave, really, going towards the other, I remember my father was the one telling me, what are you going to do in New Zealand? You don't even speak English. And but I think it's about overcoming fears and obstacles, and if you can show that to the other ones, you always inspire them so they can do exactly the same. So that doesn't mean that we're afraid or we doubt. It's just getting into that darkness, that sometimes is in front of us. I think it's always very rewarding.
So what attracted you to wanting to be Auckland City, wanting to be on your first coaching job, Albert?
Look, you always, let's put it this way. You never think you're the right person to do it. It happens, you feel yourself as an imposter, but that's happened even when I signed the contract for the Phoenix, when I signed the first contract for Auckland City, when you always feel, oh, maybe they got it wrong, actually. Maybe I'm not that good, and you feel yourself like an imposter. That's the word I would describe. So then that you can utilize that as giving you everything to prove everyone that you're worth it. Actually, they got it right, And I last talk that I had with the players at Auckland City, I said to them, look, it's important that you prove everyone wrong. I mean, we all can rebel ourselves. That doesn't need to be exactly the same motive or reason, but we all have reasons to rebel ourselves. You can, I don't know, something that makes you feel bad about, go out there and rebel yourself about that, do it playing football and with your teammates. So it can be used as a therapy. And I've always utilized football as a rebellious or way, to, rebel myself about things that I think they're not right, proving people wrong. Doctors that tell me that I had to retire because I couldn't play more, because I was too old, I was too slow. And I always put that on my note list, and I'm gonna prove them wrong. So something I can use as well to play football,
So I forgot, before we go on, I forgot to mention that this is for the viewers, this interview with Albert is part of a new series that we are doing called Legends of the Phoenix, where we interview some of your favourite players from the past. So that's really good that you're the first one joining us, Albert.
Okay, wow, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. See, I feel like an imposter already.
So moving on to a bit of Auckland City. So 2 questions around Auckland City. There has been speculation for quite a few years that they would one day like an A-League license, and also, do you think that'll ever happen? And second question around Auckland City would be, do you believe that there are any players at Auckland City or around the league that deserve an A-League contract that haven't got one?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I ever since I've been at Auckland City, I heard that rumor about Auckland City moving to the A-League. I know it's a thing that is quite complex. It requires a lot of steps and investors and all that. So that's been already 10 years, hearing that rumors. So sometimes it makes you feel that it's just not going to happen. Sometimes we have some conversations that say, actually, we're getting closer. So to be 100% honest, I have no idea what's going to happen. I would love to see it happen. I would love to, personally. I think that Auckland has got the potential to be in the A-League and do well because of different reasons. And on the second question, I definitely believe that we have players, not just in Auckland City, but other teams that can play in the A-League. Definitely. I believe actually that sometimes we should as well look at, the regional league, and because I think sometimes we're missing out on huge talented players, with a lot of potential. I don't know if they're doing that. I believe should they doing it, the Wellington Phoenix. If they don't, I definitely encourage them to do it, because at least the players that I know of in my team, we have a lot of players that they could definitely play in the A-League, 100% guaranteed. I see them day in, day out, and I actually know few players, have been contacted by them. But I definitely encourage, the Wellington Phoenix to look at the Northern League, and not just the Northern League, but in the whole region of New Zealand, our local league, because I believe there are a lot of talent players flying under the radar. Actually, I was one of them, really, and I was 29. So you have the best example in front of you.
Yeah, and one of the, and excuse me if I get the pronunciation wrong, but one of the players that I hear over and over again is Ryan DeVries. Needs to be in the A-League. He's way too talented to be in the National League. So, although you're probably a bit biased because he's on your team, do you believe with those comparisons that he would be A-League quality?
Look, Ryan DeVries, I played with him. Actually, the U pronunciation was perfect, spot on, and he went to play professionally We went to different places. He's been in Europe. He's been in Japan. He's come back now. He's super quality. I mean, we're very lucky to have him in Auckland City. It's definitely someone that you see, and straight away it shows you that he's got something special. So your contacts didn't lie to you, because he definitely has what it takes to play in the A-League. You know, he's got a special quality. He's very strong. He's very powerful. He's fast as well. And it's got that football intelligence. And if imagine if he goes and play for the Phoenix or in the A-League, I would be over the moon, because one of the things that we want in Auckland City is to develop these players, young or not that young, to give them the chance to take the next step in football. I mean, if the more players that we have that do that, it means that we're doing a good job. So I would love to see him playing for the Phoenix or in another team in the A-League, definitely.
Because the reason why I said earlier about, you leaving a bit too early when you were a player is because 32 is very young by A-League standards. So even somebody like 33, 34, as they are already that now, can still have a good year or two in the league if they really wanted to make it. It's not like, Premier League or Serie A or a Liga where by the time you get to 33, 34, you're not looked at anymore.
No, you're 100% right. That's true. And actually, I kept on playing until I was 30, 36. And I could have played a bit more in the A-League. But again, my mind wasn't there. My body didn't follow. But talking again about Ryan de Vries is 30 years old. As you're saying, it's still young to play in the A-League. Definitely, especially when you know your strength, your weaknesses, because one of the main problems with the players is that they don't really know their weaknesses. They think they're good enough in one sense, and they not. So from my point of view as a head coach, one of my jobs is to tell them, And Ryan de Vries is someone that is so intelligent, so he exactly knows how to make the most out of his strength and hide away the weaknesses. And it's when a player does that, tells you a lot about them, and he's one of them, definitely, without a doubt. So, and he's still 30 years old. So I invite and encourage you, Wayne Phoenix, to look at him again.
They watch this show, so hopefully they'll take notice of you.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So speaking of players, so we had, I don't know if you've seen it, but we had Gemma Lewis, the coach of the women's Wellington Phoenix, on the show here a few weeks ago. And she was talking about the women's mental health and how she helps out with the male team, Albert. And we were just wondering if the help with mental health resources is more strained in the National League compared to the A-League, and if it is, how would you like to see it be improved for the mental well-being for the players?
Yeah, look, I have to be honest, and it's very restrained. In that regard, what we have in the National League, we are not professionals. We training 3 times a week. Everyone or 99% of the players are working. They have to work. They don't have a salary as such. So imagine, just letting you know that there are clubs that they're struggling to find facilities to train on. So let alone the mental health that they should receive. I believe, unfortunately, something that is very far away, and in the National League environment. And what's true though, once you become professional, you part of a professional league, that's completely different. The budget, the resources, the professionals around the club are endless, and but for us, I believe that we're not nowhere near where it should be in that regard. Yes, we try to do it, we try to help, but it's more from a personal initiative, to say it somehow, than from the club. At the end of the day, we're very short in resources, really. We barely have training grounds. When it rains, we can't train because they run by the council. So I believe, hopefully one day we can tackle that in a better way, and hopefully we can have the resources at our disposal. Hopefully.
And the sad part is, you are probably the richest club in the league, and I don't mean that with any disrespect to the other clubs, but the fact that you are probably the richest club in the league and you still can't get the right facilities, I said there's something majorly wrong and major discrepancies between the A League and the National League, and I believe that they should be on par. New Zealand football should be taking more initiative to this and putting it on par or close enough. So, what would be your message if somebody from New Zealand football happened to be watching this?
Yeah, I think you're completely right. Look, my what I would like to send out if anyone is watching, about New Zealand football, is just to make the decisions based on common sense. In every area, because sometimes I feel that, look, I don't know, and probably if I was the one making decisions, I would make them wrong as well. But I would ask the clubs what's the needs they have on a daily basis. I would love to see more people from New Zealand be in touch directly with the clubs, with the coaches, with the chairmen, with the players, because I believe it's the best way to find out the necessities that are behind every regional club, every local club. And that's the best way. You would find out what they need, what they're lacking, what they want, what they feel. And it sort of, shorten the bridges from ones and others. I mean, the more communication that we have, mutual communication, the better. And I believe we could improve every area, everything that we need. And I would love to increase the communication among the clubs and from New Zealand football to the clubs. I believe it's the best way, having a active dialogue and conversations on a daily basis, or the more often the better, to see what's the needs behind the football in New Zealand.
And just a last portion to wrap up from me. So when you were going back to when you were at the Phoenix, um, the Yellow Fever had lots of favorite songs that they love to sing about you and other players. Is the Yellow Fever something that you miss?
I definitely miss it a lot, a lot. I was, it took my breath away. I remember, I think it was one training at Newton Park after training session. I can't remember his name, but he came up with a yellow fever shirt with my face on it, and it said riera resolution. I think it was, eh? And I love it. I mean, I still have it in my house. I bought it for a few mates, and I really love it. With I really love it. I thought it was a fantastic idea, very genuine, and I don't know who came up with that idea, but I owe him a dinner. So one day I'm gonna get him for a dinner.
and we have a little club that we started. I don't know if you've seen them. For the Wellington men, it's a woman called the Little Yellow Corner. I don't know if you saw that during the last season, but it's great that the women are starting to get their own little fan club as well.
Okay, haven't seen it. Unfortunately, haven't seen it. Okay, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it.
They're good friends of ours, and they watch this, so you can
Yeah,
probably say hello to them.
fantastic to see the Phoenix back at home as well. It's been a tough, long season. Being away from New Zealand. Look, they have all my admiration because they've done very good. I take into account all the hurdles and adversity. So that was chapeau. All my admiration really.
Do you think you would have coped as a player if you went on that COVID journey with them?
I think I would have got 1 month and then I would have been back to Spain because that would have been very, very hard. I'm not gonna lie. I think that was draining, mentally exhausting. So again, I think it's been amazing what they done. Coaching and staff, the players. I think they have to be aware that it's the only club that had to go through that. So it's been amazing, really amazing. The mental strength that they showed was unbelievable.
So, finally, as a player, do you understand why the likes of Gary Hooper and Gail Seville, and couldn't cope over here, and they had to go back.
Look, I completely, I can understand. You know, especially players from overseas. I think it's different when you have Kiwi players playing in the Wellington Phoenix. Probably it's different. You know, the way you feel the club. It's something that probably you always aim for, to play for the Wellington Phoenix. Coming from overseas, you have a different perspective of the game and different perspective of the reality around the club. And I think that, you know, even though it's sad, you know, you have to understand, you know, why they make that decision. I believe that no one is ever prepared to go through a global pandemic. And look, football, it took its toll as well on that regard. And the Phoenix is one of the probably the clubs that suffered the most. So I somehow understand a little bit, you know, why they win that way.
Jonathan, do you have any closing comments you'd like to ask or add?
No, just have a lot of admiration and respect for what you've been able to achieve in your career, Albert, both on the field and now in the coaching area. And you know, it would be very exciting to see you moving up into an A-League coaching role. So we'll be watching from the sidelines to hopefully that becomes a thing in the next 3 to 5 years.
Jonathan, thank you very much. Look, I would love to working every day to unfold the best out of myself, and that means A-League. I would be more than happy, really, because it's something that I would love to do, really, definitely.
And do you have any closing comments as a thank you to the fans, Albert, who supported you all this year?
Myself?
Yes.
No, I mean, love to.
We just lost you there, Albert. It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, no problem.
Sorry.
Look, what I would like to see, it's the Wellington Phoenix making the top 4 next season. It's something that I would love to see, and I would also love to see some players from the National League playing in the A League. You know, it's something that I would really love to see. And we always trying to achieve that as well, to have those players, you know, to have the opportunity that they searching. So hopefully we can do that.
Well, I'm just angry to stay there for one minute, Albert. But to the fans, I'll say goodbye. And thank you for watching. And thanks to Jonathan as always. And we'll see you on the next episode of Legends of the Phoenix.
Thank you very much.